Have you ever seen courage stumble forward? Not the kind that raises fists or speaks from a podium, but the quieter kind. The kind that trembles in the knees, wobbles in its shoes, and still dares to rise. Today's story begins with a step. A small one, hesitant, shaky. Barely a whisper of movement. But it changed everything. It was a Friday evening, the kind where the air hums with a lazy sort of promise. In a tucked-away corner of the city, a restaurant called the Bellamy Room pulsed with the soft notes of live jazz, the kind that wraps around your ribs and makes time slow down. Inside, couples swayed gently between tables. No spotlight, no choreography, just polished wood, warm lighting, and the unspoken invitation to move. At one table near the back, a boy named Jaime sat in silence. 8 years old, small hands folded in his lap. Shoulders curled in a way that said he was used to making himself smaller. His legs were still under the table. Still because movement didn't come easily to him. Diagnosed with dystonia as a toddler, Jaime's muscles had a mind of their own. Steps came with tremors. Balance was a guessing game. Every motion was a negotiation between courage and unpredictability. Once, during a school trip to a children's museum, he had tripped, hard. He'd landed in a heap, his limbs tangle prone and panicked. The room had gone quiet for a beat before the laughter began. Not mean-spirited, just instinctive, unthinking. But it had left a mark. Since then, he'd learned to measure every move by the number of eyes watching. Across the table sat his father, Harlan. A man of sharp suits, tighter silences, and precise routines. He wasn't unkind, just fortified. He loved Jaime in the way some men do, by protecting, by controlling, by holding on too tightly to the steering wheel of someone else's life. They didn't go out often. The Bellamy Room was a compromise. Private booths, a discreet maitre d', and music that made the space feel safer than it was. Jaime didn't care for the food. What held his attention was the waitress. She moved like music. Her bun was tight, her tray balanced like it had been part of her hand forever. Her name tag read, Clara. Once, Clara had danced for audiences. Her name had been printed in bold on downtown programs, her body a blur of grace under stage lights. But an injury had torn that world away from her. These days, she walked between tables instead of across stages. But sometimes when she turned too quickly, or caught a certain note in the jazz trio's melody, her feet betrayed her. Not with stumbling, but with memory. As she poured Jaime a refill of lemonade, he noticed her shoes. Soft-soled, worn just right. Dancer's shoes. He didn't look up, but he asked the question anyway. Do you still dance? Clara paused. The question cracked open something she hadn't touched in years. Only when someone dares to lead, she said, crouching so her voice could reach him without towering over. He didn't answer, just gripped the seat tighter. Then, he moved. It wasn't sudden or dramatic. It was almost invisible. A shift in posture. A breath caught mid-chest. Then, the slow, deliberate motion of a boy rising from a seat. Every inch fought back, knees buckled, feet turned awkwardly, muscles tensed in protest. But he stood, wobbly, determined. He lifted one arm, his hand reaching not in command, but invitation. Clara looked at him. Around them, the music swelled just slightly. A waltz, slow and steady. And without hesitation, she placed her hand in his. No instructions, no corrections, just presence. Jaime took a step. His left foot dragged just enough to draw attention. His knees bent at uncertain angles. His upper body moved like it was trying to guess what the lower half would do next. But he didn't fall. And Clara followed. She didn't lead. Didn't adjust his rhythm. She gave up her dancer's instincts, years of muscle memory and precision, and matched him, beat for faltering beat. The room noticed. A couple stopped mid-dance, watching over clasped hands. A waiter paused mid-pour. The pianist's fingers hesitated just above the keys. The melody faded into the background, unsure if it was still needed. Jaime stumbled. A scrape of shoe on floor. A sound that in other spaces might have triggered laughter. Someone chuckled. Software nervous. Clara didn't flinch. Instead, she smiled. A tiny, unshaken thing that said, "I'm still here." She didn't catch him, didn't steady him. She let him find his balance. She honored his lead by refusing to steal it. The room grew quieter. Not embarrassed, attentive. Like a congregation leaning into a prayer that hadn't yet been spoken. And Jaime kept stepping. Each movement a whisper of defiance. Each lurch forward a declaration. I am not here to impress. I am here to exist. I am here to move. And Clara moved with him. In a booth not far away, Harlan returned from a phone call. He expected quiet conversation, a mostly untouched dinner. He did not expect this. His son was standing. And not just standing, leading. The instinct hit him like thunder. Intervene, stop it, protect, pull Jaime back to safety. But his feet didn't move. For the first time, he felt paralyzed, not by fear, but by awe. The room wasn't mocking Jaime. It was witnessing him. And Clara, she wasn't guiding, she was following. The moment held. Jaime looked up. Is it okay? He whispered. It's perfect, she replied, and she meant it. They didn't make it far. 5 steps, maybe 6, but they weren't measured in distance. Each one was a triumph. Later, in the car, neither father nor son spoke. The silence between them wasn't absence. It was reverence, like the echo after a bell that still hums in the bones. Then, Jaime spoke. I don't think I need you to hold my hand so much anymore. Harlan turned, startled. What do you mean? I mean, I know I can still fall. But I think I can lead too, if someone lets me. The words didn't challenge. They offered. Gently. Boldly. Harlan couldn't respond right away. He didn't need to. The next morning, he returned to the Bellamy room. Clara was there, polishing glasses. You weren't afraid? He asked. Clara looked up. Afraid he'd fall? I was afraid no one would follow. Silence lingered. Then, Clara said, people like Jaime, they're used to being managed. Helped. Protected. But sometimes what they need most is someone willing to move with them, even if it's offbeat. That night, Harlan visited a community studio where Clara volunteered. Inside were children with braces, prosthetics, walkers, moving not to music, but to each other, in patterns that defied perfection, in rhythms that followed no composer but the heart. I don't need someone to teach my son how to dance, Harlan said. I need someone to teach me how not to hold him back. Clara didn't blink. Then start by stepping where he steps, not where you think he should go. Weeks later, Jaime took the stage at the town's spring festival. No music, no partner, just his body, just motion. And slowly, one by one, the audience rose. A woman in her 40s, a teenager, a man in a wheelchair, a mother with her child, none of them choreographed, all of them following. Not because the boy danced well, but because he moved, and because they saw something worth following. Leadership isn't about strength or grace. Sometimes it trembles, sometimes it trips, sometimes it simply lifts one foot and trusts the world not to laugh when it lands. In that moment, Jaime wasn't the boy who needed help. He was the one lighting the way, and the world, finally, chose to follow.